September 3rd comes around every year, and for most, the day is just like any other. But for Miss Robbie Boshart Fairley, September 3rd every year since 2017 now brings with it a punch in the gut, as it marks another year that her son has been missing, and another 365 days with no answer in his disappearance. Miss Robbie and her former husband Mike welcomed their son Timothy Roy Boshart into this world on December the 20th, 1983. Tim was the young couple's first child, and he was everything his mama could have imagined him being from the moment she held him in her arms. Those feelings of joy and love only doubled when the couple welcomed their second son, Tim's younger brother, to the family. The family of four would eventually settle down in the small town of Sumrall, Mississippi. Tim was the ideal child spanning from infancy to young adulthood, and anyone who knew Tim during that time would echo this as fact. As a child, Tim was athletic and played football, baseball, and basketball while growing up. Tim was an exceptional student throughout elementary and middle school, but he really excelled in high school, especially in math, where he got the math award nearly every year. Tim was brilliant and had a magnetic smile and personality. This made him very well known and well liked during his time at Sumrall High School. In high school, Tim hung up his cleats for an apron and began working for Ramey's, a grocery store chain, where he would climb the ranks and become a manager. Tim enjoyed working hard and making his own money to spend. After high school, Tim continued working while being enrolled at Jones County Junior College, where he graduated and then transferred to the University of Southern Mississippi for business administration. Tim worked hard but also enjoyed the nightlife that a college town like Hattiesburg had to offer. He could often be found on the weekends out with his friends or DJing and bringing the party to life. One of the most common things you hear about Tim is how he made sure that everyone around him had a great time. Since his disappearance, one of Tim's friends told Miss Robbie that Tim was bigger than life. But even with that much zest for life, the tan, the physique, and the tattoos, Tim was still a mama's boy at heart. He always said that his three favorite things in life were number 1, his mama, number 2, Diet Coke, and number 3, Bud Light. Diet Coke and Bud Light would swap up from time to time in the lineup, but the number 1 spot always belonged to his mama, Miss Robbie. When Tim was around 24 years old, he became very conscious of his diet and his physique. He spent a lot of time working out and pushing his body to find new limits. One day in 2010, while at the gym, Tim dislocated his shoulder while lifting weights. That injury would subsequently have a lasting effect on the events that would play out in Tim's life until the time of his disappearance. Tim's injury was reviewed by a doctor who did not believe that his body would heal correctly without surgery. So Tim underwent shoulder surgery in 2011 and was prescribed 90 pain pills each month in the healing and recovery process after surgery. Tim began relying on these pills to feel better, which eventually led to him taking more than the prescribed dosage, followed by a full-blown opioid addiction. During a visit to his physician, his doctor believed that Tim had recovered from his injury and would no longer be in need of pain medication. Tim left the doctor's office that day with no refills on a prescription that he was now dependent on. Tim resorted to finding those pills on the street, which after a time became quite costly. So Tim was introduced to a cheaper opioid that satisfied the sickness and the cravings, and Tim became addicted to heroin. Tim came forward and told his mama that he had become addicted to his pain pills, but that he had beat it and didn't want to talk about it. But addiction has a strong hold over those in its grasp, and as it happens with many people struggling with addictions, Tim eventually began getting into trouble with the law. The first incident with police came just 6 months after him coming clean about his addiction to Miss Robbie. He was stopped by police who noticed that Tim was under the influence of something. He was taken to jail that day where Miss Robbie came and got him out. He would be arrested shortly thereafter in 2014 for going up to a woman outside of a convenience store and snatching an envelope with an undisclosed amount of cash from her hand and running off with it. The police called up to Tim eventually and he was arrested. Miss Robbie bailed Tim out of jail, although he went to court later and was sent to prison for 9 months at Parchman, which is the state penitentiary of Mississippi. During a family visit while in prison, Tim told Miss Robbie that he thought that he would have to join a gang to survive there. And though she adamantly voiced her concerns against that, Tim told his mother that there is not enough money that she could put on his books to protect him while he was there. So against his mother's worries, Tim would end up seeking protection in prison by joining the Latin Kings, running with the gang until his release. After being released from Parchman, Tim went back home and began working for a landscaping company. but Tim found himself messing up again after his release, so he went to see his parole officer and requested to be put in the work program for 6 months to keep himself on track. During the time between his prison release and Tim going into the work program, his mom and dad had several conversations regarding the state of Tim's life and the troubles that he was experiencing. During one of those talks, Mike came clean about a conversation he and Tim had had regarding Tim joining the gang in prison. Tim told his father that he would have to pay the Latin Kings for the rest of his life. Of course, Tim expected the conversation to remain between the two men, but out of fear for his son, he shared the information with Miss Robbie, who became even more concerned about her son's well-being. After Tim was released from the work program, his father Mike passed away after a battle with cancer. Tim and his father were close, and his father's passing left a very deep hole in an already struggling man's heart. He decided that he needed to make his dad proud, so Tim decided to follow in his father's footsteps and enrolled in truck driving school in Utah and set out in hopes of a better future. After driving over the road for several months, in 2016, Tim came home for some time off. Miss Robbie could see that something was bothering Tim, so she asked what was stressing him out. Tim told his mom that there were just some things that he couldn't talk to her about. She didn't understand what could be stressing Tim in his life at that point because everything seemed to be right back on track. So she asked about that detail Tim's father had shared with her during their conversation before his passing. She asked him if it had anything to do with the gang. Tim became very angry, assuring her that that part of his life is something he would never ever discuss with her. Tim didn't really speak to many of his friends or family about his gang affiliation or even his prison sentence, but seemingly he was not a very active member of the Latin Kings between joining the gang and him becoming missing. In 2016, Tim began driving hotshot runs, which are quick truck driving jobs that require time-sensitive delivery. After working there for a short time, Tim's boss called Miss Robbie and told her that he wasn't able to get a hold of Tim. And after both of them attempted reaching Tim several times, Tim's employer pressed charges on Tim for stealing the truck. Tim was eventually pulled over in Lucedale, Mississippi, in possession of the now considered stolen truck. He was under the influence of some substance and in possession of drug paraphernalia at the time of the stop. He was taken to the county jail where he called Miss Robbie to come and get him out. Miss Robbie decided to show tough love and told Tim that she would not come and get him out. So Tim stayed in jail there for 90 days. During his time in jail there, he crossed paths with someone who had information on a religious work-based drug rehabilitation program in Laurel, Mississippi called the Mission at the Cross. He asked his mama to look into the program, to which she very willingly obliged. And when Tim was released from jail on November the 13th, 2016, Miss Robbie picked him up and the two headed straight to the Mission at the Cross. Tim went in with high hopes and began his 6-month recovery program. He was very involved in the program during his time there, and Miss Robbie saw the Tim that she had missed so much in recent years. He became the third in charge, helping with interviews and program admissions. And Tim was very proud of himself for being able to sit in on the beginning stages of life changes for men like himself who were struggling. A few days before completing the program, Tim decided that he needed to leave for some reason, and he didn't discuss it with Miss Robbie. Tim alluded to the fact that there was a conflict with the way that the program was being run. He would come back again shortly thereafter, after he and the men who ran the program discussed his concerns. But he ended up leaving the day that he arrived. Though he did not technically complete the program, Tim had been clean for 6 months and seemed to be doing well. Miss Robbie helped Tim get a vehicle, and he was going to work and coming home where he was living with Miss Robbie and her new husband William. For a while, Tim seemed to steer clear of the people that he was involved with in the past. But just prior to Tim's disappearance, he began acting strange, and Miss Robbie started to pick up on some signs that he was beginning to slip back into the lifestyle she knew was always lurking. Tim started dating a woman that lived in the same town as them, and Miss Robbie hoped that this relationship would give Tim a reason to remain on the straight and narrow. In the 2 months prior to his disappearance, Tim's life seemed to begin unraveling. Miss Robbie confronted Tim about the possibility of him using drugs again, and he admitted that he was. On August the 14th, Tim's girlfriend at the time contacted Miss Robbie and told her that Tim had taken her car and her debit card without her permission. While in possession of the car and the debit card, Tim took $200 out of her checking account via an ATM. His girlfriend called the sheriff's department in Perry County to report her car missing. While the officer was on scene, Tim returned with the car, but had an explanation for why he had taken the car and the money. He showed the officer, his girlfriend, and Miss Robbie text messages from his drug dealer stating that he wanted the money that Tim owed him and that he knew where Tim's family lived. His girlfriend decided not to press charges, and Miss Robbie returned the money that was taken out of her account. Things seemed to be solved, but at this point, the extent to which Tim was messing up again was out in the light. Tim decided to check himself into Pine Grove Behavioral Health Center for some mental health issues that he was dealing with. After a couple of days of inpatient care, Tim went back about his normal routine of working and going back to either his girlfriend's house or to his mom's house. Or at least that's the way things appeared. The following weeks of Tim's life raised many questions, which we will cover later in the episode, but around August the 26th, 2017, Tim up and decided to go back to the mission. He requested that his mom not come visit him during his stay there. It seemed he had made his mind up, and on August the 30th, 2017, Miss Robbie received a message stating that Tim was headed back to check himself into the mission at the cross. Not long after his arrival, Tim began reaching out to his girlfriend, asking her to come get him. She declined to do that and asked him to please stay and get the help that he desperately needed. Eventually, a counselor at the mission talked Tim into staying. As part of the program, each Sunday, the gentlemen in the program all get together and go to church service at Highland Baptist Church in Laurel, Mississippi. So Sunday, September the 3rd, 2017, Tim and the men in the program loaded up and headed to church. It was not uncommon for the guys that have gone through the program to attend church services at Highland Baptist Church following their recovery. So at church service that day, Tim saw a familiar face in the congregation. Patrick Walker, who Tim had gone to church with as a child and had recently ran into and began hanging out with, was in attendance in church service that day. Just after 3 p.m. that day, Miss Robbie received a call saying that Tim had not returned on the bus from church service and they did not know where he was. After speaking with some of the other gentlemen in the program, it was discovered that Tim had been seen in the church parking lot having a conversation with Patrick Walker. Miss Robbie reached out directly to Patrick on Facebook immediately after finding out that Tim was missing, and on the following day, September the 4th, Patrick responded to Miss Robbie telling her that he had in fact talked to Tim at church that day and drove him to an apartment in Purvis, Mississippi afterwards. That apartment belonged to Karanja Kabir, who goes by the name KC. Tim told him that he would just hang out there and call his girlfriend for a ride, so Patrick claims that he left Tim there at KC's apartment the previous afternoon on September the 3rd. KC was eventually spoken to, and he stated that Tim did show up at his house that day, and after staying there for a while, KC paid 2 men, W.L. Johnson and T.C. Chambliss, to give Tim a ride to wherever he needed to go. According to KC, this is the last time that he ever saw or spoke to Tim. Miss Robbie had also began calling everyone she knew that may have been in contact with Tim. One of those people was Rick Llewellyn, who was Mike Boshart's very good friend and someone Tim would run to if he needed help. Miss Robbie told Rick that Tim had left the mission, that nobody was able to get a hold of him, and that he was considered missing. She told him she was coming over there, and if she found out that Rick helped Tim get any drugs, she would be contacting the local sheriff's department. And as it goes with a mother's intuition, Tim did just as she expected and ended up there that day. And it was also there that Tim was either picked up or walked away and was never seen or heard from again. In searching for leads in Tim's disappearance, Miss Robbie has information that shows the following timeline. Tim goes to church service on Sunday morning. After the church service, Tim is seen by men in the program conversating with Patrick Walker in the parking lot. Tim does not arrive back to the mission on the bus with his group. Patrick Walker leaves Highland Baptist Church with Tim en route to the residence of Karanja Kabir. Karanja pays 2 men, W.L. Johnson and T.C. Chambliss, to give Tim a ride. Tim has the men drop him off at Rick Llewellyn's house. Tim goes inside and Rick tells him that his mom is looking for him and he cannot stay there. Tim asks can he use Rick's phone to call someone to come and pick him up. Tim makes 2 phone calls, one to his credit card company and one to a man by the name of P.J. Hollingsworth. P.J. Hollingsworth did not answer the phone call on that day. Tim then brings the phone back to Rick and walks back out into Rick's front yard and vanishes. 11 days later, a man by the name of Michael Madden finds Tim's birth certificate in Rick Llewellyn's front yard under a bush. The birth certificate was given to Rick and was in great condition. It is Miss Robbie's belief that the birth certificate was brought back to the location and planted there to be found. During the time between the date that Tim became missing, September the 3rd, and when the birth certificate was found in good condition, it rained several times, which would have caused damage to the birth certificate. In looking at Tim's movements and interactions throughout the days shortly before he went missing, his actions appear erratic. The day prior to deciding to go back to the mission suddenly, Tim made more than 20 phone calls in a short period of time and seemed to be panicking. The reason behind that behavior is still unclear, and a question that remains to be unanswered. Tim suddenly decided to go back to the mission and then left after only being there a couple of days. He requested no visitors while being at the mission. It seemed Tim may have been trying to avoid someone, but the question remains, who? Over the past 4 years, the weight Miss Robbie carries has been heavy as she looks back on all the memories that she shared with her son. But she uses those memories as fuel to keep pushing as she tries, against all odds, to find Tim. People have written in, called in, sent in anonymous letters, and gotten word to Miss Robbie through other people. Over time, the tips have slowed down and have begun to trickle in, but Tim has still not been located. Rewards have been offered. Rewards are still being offered, and yet still no answers. Miss Robbie hopes that whoever has the real story of what happened to her son will find it within their heart to get the information to her in some way, even if they have to remain anonymous. She just wants to bring Tim home. Miss Robbie is very open and honest about the struggles that her son experienced. She said Tim has a testimony that would bring tears to your eyes. She hopes that her transparency may help someone who is struggling to cry out for help, or that someone who is struggling with the same things Tim was sees what could happen to a person living that lifestyle. If you have information, I ask you to think of your own parents, laying awake all night trying to figure out what they could have done differently that may have changed the current circumstances. Think of scammers calling your mom or your dad, requesting ransom money for your safe return, knowing that they could never make good on that promise. Think of people who you considered your friends, lying to your mama's tear-soaked face when she begs for information of how to find you. Imagine your mom begging for just one of your bones to bring a piece of you to rest. Imagine your mother stepping into boots to go look for your body in the woods, in drug houses, wherever she can, because she would walk to the ends of the earth to find you. Imagine your family putting your face on a poster, begging for answers as to where you are. Think of the despair your family would feel if they were in Miss Robbie's shoes. If you're a parent, I pray that you reflect on Tim's story. I pray that you consider how much you love your own children and how much of a nightmare it must be to wake up and go to bed every night not knowing where your child is. I pray that you never have to go into dangerous situations or to plead dangerous people for answers about your own baby. I hope you never are awakened in the middle of the night to a prank phone call about your son's whereabouts. I pray you never have to hear all of the horrific details of the way that your child may have lost his life. I pray you never have to figure out where you will hold a vigil in memory of your child. I pray you never have to become physically ill when you see that a body has been found on the news. I pray you never know what it is like to see your child's seat empty year after year at Christmas or Thanksgiving or all of the other holidays that families are meant to spend together. I pray you're able to buy your child a birthday cake every year and celebrate another year spent with them alive and well. I pray that you never have to replay in your head the last time you may ever hear your child say, "I love you." Now a word from Tim's mother, Miss Robbie Boshart Fairley.
I was asked a few days ago to do a recording asking the people who possibly have information to do with my son's disappearance to please come forward and let us know where Tim is. We have provided many ways for you to provide us with this information. We don't care who you are. We just want to know where Tim is. The information can be provided to us anonymously, and we are okay with that. We just want to know where Tim is. As Tim's mother, I am asking you, please, if you have any information, please come forward and do the right thing and let us know where Tim is at.
We assist directly with Tim Boshart's case, and you are welcome to message us with any information regarding Tim's whereabouts or what you may have heard regarding his disappearance. There will be a link in the description below that you can click to follow the Facebook page that shares information and updates regarding Tim's case. You can message that page with your information, and that information will go directly to Miss Robbie. If you wish to remain anonymous, you can mail a letter with your information to P.O. Box 885, Beaumont, Mississippi 39423. If you would like to get in touch with law enforcement instead, you can call the Lamar County Sheriff's Department and speak with the investigator over Tim's case, Mr. Lance Emfinger, at 601-794-1005. Or, to remain anonymous, call CrimeStoppers at 601-582-7867. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. If you have information that could bring forth answers, I'm praying specifically for you tonight, that you will find strength to bring rest to the family of Tim Boshart. God bless you.